Nearly every advertising platform we talk about on this channel has some sort of remarketing campaign capabilities that allow you to re-engage with users who are already familiar with your brand. Whether they've come to your website, you have their contact information, you can re-engage with those users through a retargeting campaign. The Google Ads platform is probably the platform that's had this capability the longest, to be quite honest, but it's changed over time. So today what we're going to do is run through all of the different retargeting capabilities on the Google Ads platform and how you can apply them to your campaigns. To build your audiences in the Google Ads interface, we need to be in Audience Manager. That's where we're going to spend the bulk of our time during this video. If you don't know where Audience Manager is, you can come up to the Tools and Settings option up here, open this big old menu, and Audience Manager is going to be right here at the top of the shared library. Once you click on that, it'll land you on a page that looks something like this. As you can see, we already have a number of audiences in this account. This is the placeholder account that Joe and I use to do a lot of these videos, so some of these will pop up as we go through a couple different examples. But let's go ahead and start to look at the different types of remarketing audiences we can make in Google Ads. To have the highest category list, we just want to come over here and click the blue plus sign, and now we can see the 5 different types of remarketing audiences we can create in Google Ads. Website visitors, app users, YouTube users, customer list, and custom combination. I'm going to preface this video and say that some of these sections are going to be longer than others because we have examples we can use and other ones we don't. We'll do our best to give you the overview of each of these different types, but just know that we might not have all of the exact examples to look at in the moment. So let's get started with the first one. I think it's most common, and we're probably going to spend the most time on it because it'll have a lot of the settings that'll be evident in the other audience types, and that's website visitors. A website visitors remarketing audience does pretty much exactly what you'd expect. It allows you to create an audience of users who have engaged with your website in one way, shape, or form. The first thing you'll do is give it an audience name up at the top. I'm not going to do that because I don't need to. We're not going to save it. But then the next set of rules down here is going to be how we define the audience based on the actions that people took. So there are a couple different options here. We can start off with list members, and this is going to let you select the type of visitors from which you'd like to create the audience. You can see visitors of a page is already pre-selected, but there is a drop-down available here that has 4 different other options available that we'll go through in a little bit. But just wanted you to know that there are different types of lists you can create, and we'll do each of those in a second. Since we're sticking with visitors of a page, the visited page section down here below, where we create the actual page rules, hasn't changed yet. Before we get to this match any rule group piece, I want to go over the settings that we can do in this box here. This is where we'll set up the actual page URL rules that we want to contain in the audience. So let's say, for sake of example, a very common audience is anybody who hits a thank you page. So let's say we want to target anybody who hit a thank you page on our website. We would leave this as page URL, contains, and then we can easily just type in thank you off to the right. You'll see that when I did that, the audience list size over on the right-hand side tried to change and give us some information, but there's nobody who's actually hit a thank you page because this page doesn't exist on this website. So there's not going to be any cookies in that list, but now you can see how you add the different URL rules into the Google Ads Audience Builder. After we've done that, you'll notice there are a couple of drop downs that we can choose here. The first one I'm going to go over is going to be the one that's a little further off to the right, and contains. I just left this as contains because I want anybody who hit any page that contains thank you anywhere in the URL string, because that's going to be the thank you page naming convention that we've used on this example site. But you can choose a number of different options here. So you can say that the URL equals, which means it has to be exactly what you add into the space off to the right. You can use starts or ends with. So again, depending on your naming convention, make sure that you're choosing the right one here. You can then also use does not contain, does not equal, does not start with, and does not end with. So based on the naming convention of how you are creating your web pages and how you're trying to find users and segment them into different audiences, make sure you've chosen the right operator here to determine which pages people have visited or not visited on your site. The second drop down, which is actually the one that's a little bit further off to the left, instead of page URL, you can use refer URL, which means that this is the site that somebody was on right before they came to your website. This would be great if you have a partner company that you're working with and you added one of your links to their website. So if somebody is browsing their website and then clicks on the link to come to your site, you can create an audience of those users who came specifically through those links from their website. The thing to know here is that if somebody is on that user's website but then goes up just to the search bar and types in your URL and comes to your website, that will not be tracked because that's not actually a referral from a different website. It has to be a link click that comes directly to your website from the other one. So if you're trying to track all of the users who came to your site from that partnership company or one of the other companies that you own, you can use refer URL and then use the URL contains, including that website's URL, and you'll track anybody who came from that website. For now, we're going to leave this as page URL as we go through a couple of the other operators that are here. You'll notice off to the right that there's also a little blue and that shows up here. This is going to be an and operator. Up here above page URL, it says a visited page must match every rule in this group. That's where this and comes in. So if I say and, you'll notice that it gives me a new line, and it's still within this same box, so it's designated by this blue line off to the left. And then if we wanted to add an additional rule, again, whether it follows any of the different operators that we have here, we can say that we want to target anybody who visited a page that contains thank you and any other page with the specific language that we use. So maybe we want to target anybody who hit a thank you page, and we also want to make sure that we're only targeting people who requested a demo as opposed to downloaded an ebook. If your thank you page URL contains the different type of offer you had there, we could easily just type in demo into this next line, and this would create an audience that says somebody hit a website URL that says thank you and demo. It doesn't have to be something that's right next to each other. So if you have a naming convention in your thank you page URLs, it's a little bit tough, or it's dynamic based on somebody who makes a purchase, you can create audiences that still contain the different rules that you need to make sure you're targeting exactly the right people. You'll remember a little bit ago, I teased about this match any rule group. So right now I'm going to leave it as this because the next operator we have down here is or. So if we click or, we get a whole new box that will operate the same way as this blue one does, but anything has to match within this list or anything within this list. So now we can create an audience that says anybody who hits a thank you page URL that also contains demo, or anybody who hits a page URL that contains, and then any other language that we want in here. This is allowing us to build on the list, adding these or statements, whereas adding and statements within this box is narrowing the focus of the users that we're trying to reach. So let's say for sake of example here, I wanted to change this second one and change it to refer URL and just say that I came from an example website. That means this audience is going to contain anybody who hit a thank you page URL that also contains demo, or anybody who came from the refer URL of example.com. That's because we still have this option chosen as match any rule group, so they can hit this box or this second box. But if we come up here to this drop down, you can see that the other option is match every rule group. So if I change to that, you'll now see that the language changed a little bit. A visited page must match any rule in this group, so it must match any of the rules here, and must also match any rule in this group. So now, instead of these two being an or statement, since we changed this option up at the top, this is now an and statement, and you'll see that the naming convention has changed because this is now and this option over here is now or. So if you're choosing to make something a little bit more narrowly focused, make sure that you have all of the different and or statements chosen and mapped out correctly based on which of these two options you've chosen. As you can tell, there's quite a lot you can do with this first visited page section. I'm going to clear this out just a little bit so we've got a little less coming through here. But now I want to jump up into the list members section because, as you'll remember, there are 4 other options that we haven't gone through yet. Some of them will help mimic some of the things that we just did, but some of them also have some custom options as well. So the first is going to be visitors of a page who also visited another page. Effectively, what this does is creates those and statements for you so that you don't get too tongue-tied and turned around in the visited page original type of audience. So here we have the same options. So include people that visited a page with the following rules, and also include people that visited this second page with the following rules. So again, we did that up at the first option. This is just laid out in a way that's a little bit easier to follow. The next option is going to be a slight tweak on this type of rule, and it's visitors of a page who did not visit another page. So effectively in this option, we're trying to target anybody who visited a page URL that contains thank you. And then we also might want to say they also didn't visit a page that contains pricing. Let's say we've been running a top of funnel content offer, and anybody who downloads the ebook, white paper, whatever we have, is going to hit a URL that contains thank you. We then want to retarget those users to go to our pricing page to learn more about our company and what the prices are, but only if they haven't seen the pricing page before. There's no reason to send somebody to a page that they've seen before and didn't interact with the way that we wanted to. So that's an option where this audience might make sense, because we're targeting anybody who visited a page that is thank you, but then they did not visit a page that contains pricing, so we feel comfortable sending them to that pricing page as the next step. We then have all of the same or and functionality within each of these different boxes, so there's, again, lots of customization that we can have here. The next type of audience down the list is going to be visitors of a page during specific dates. So if we choose this option, you'll see that the visited page section is going to remain the way that I have it set up. But then we also have dates of visit. And this is a pretty cool customization that we can make. In this first dropdown, you can choose somebody to have visited either before, after, or between certain dates. So let's say you have changed the content of your website and maybe you rebranded and you want to engage with users who saw your old branding and let them know that you've updated. You can create an audience of users who visited your site before your branding switchover, select the date of your brand change, whatever day that was, and then you can start to remarket to them and show them that you have updated your website, you have a new brand, talk about your new products, all that good stuff. You can do the same thing with an after date. Maybe something has changed and you want to engage with users who have only visited your site after that brand relaunch, so you can target them separately. And then lastly, you can create audiences of users who visited your site during specific times. So it can be between specific dates. So I can come in here and say maybe April 4th to April 10th. I want to create that audience. And anybody who visited my site during those dates will be in this audience. It could be something where you had a big sale going on, or you got a lot of extra traffic that's not normal to your site, and you either want to target or exclude them in your campaigns moving forward. You can create very customized audiences based on specific page URLs or the dates that they visited the website. The last option we have available is going to be for visitors of a page with specific tags. As you can see here, we have one placeholder tag example that we've set up for a previous video. And if you come down here, you can click this little I information box and it'll show you the tag setup, so you can easily grab that. And then there's an event code down at the bottom, but we don't need this for right now. So it is going to be based on the specific global site tag that you create for your site. So let's say you have multiple different subdomains, or you're advertising multiple different businesses within the same Google Ads account because you're running them off of all of the same billing information. You can create new tags if you want to, and then add them to each individual site as you need. And you can create audiences based off of the specific tags that they were fired in within this account. So you can have multiple different marketing tags, multiple different websites or different sections of your website, however you have it tagged, and then you can create audiences based off of those tags that they have been cookied by. So as you can tell, there's lots of different ways that we can make website visitor remarketing audiences in Google Ads. And we do have some other settings that we need to adjust before we get done with our audience creation. I went ahead and reset everything to visitors of a page to try and get more of the different settings, because they're going to be a little bit different for each one, but for the most part, they're going to follow this format that we have here. So down at the bottom, you can see pre-fill options. If we open this up, Google Ads allows you to pre-fill a list with people who match the rules within the past 30 days. So you don't have to start a list from scratch if you want to try and get remarketing up and running a bit quicker. You can start with an empty list if you want to. Maybe something went wrong on the site and you think that the people before the specific date you're launching this just don't need to be in the audience. But if you want to start off with people in it, you can use the past 30 days worth of data to help pre-fill your remarketing list so you're not starting from scratch. Next, we need to choose the membership duration. So how long do you want somebody to be eligible to be in this audience? You can have anything from 1 day on the low end up to a maximum of 540 days. So that's about 1.5 years. There's lots of different strategies around remarketing audience cookie duration, which we won't get into on this video, but this is effectively saying anybody who hits the rules that I've created up the top, I want them to remain in this audience for this length of time before churning out. and no longer being part of the audience. If they are within the audience, and let's say we've got the 30-day limit here, and somebody hits this thank you page URL, if they then get to day 20 and hit the thank you page URL again, that 30 days will refresh. So it's not just from the first time that they did it, it's from the most recent time that they did it. The last option down here at the bottom is just a quick description that can go along with your audience name. You don't have to write a description, but if you want to help keep things clear and make it so you can understand what the parameters are within this audience, you can write your own description here if you want to. That does it for website visitors. Let's hop into the other types of audiences we can create in Google Ads. The second type of audience we can create in Google Ads is going to be one where we're going to have this be pretty short because we don't actually have access to any accounts that are using an app. But a lot of these will follow relatively similar to the way that we create website visitor lists. So I'm just going to click this, and here you'll see some of the same options show up. So we've got the audience name, then you will select your app from the drop-down. If you don't have your app selected already, you can link an account pretty easily just by following that link account blue text there, but we don't have one of those anyway, so I'm not going to do that. You'll then have the different actions that you can create, which are going to follow some of the website URLs. You'll have the pre-fill options of the past 30 days and the description as well. But since I don't have any apps that I can use, for example, I do want to just hop into the help section really quick just to get your gears start to turn about what you can do with app audiences on Google Ads. Here you'll see that there does seem to be some changes coming in spring of 2021, so that'll hopefully make it a little bit easier for you to target your users from your apps, but you can get some examples of what types of audiences you can create from these blue links down here. All users except those who have taken a certain action, users who have taken multiple different actions, or users who took one action but not another. So these translate relatively quickly into website visitors. So this could easily be translated into website visitors just to make it easier to follow. All visitors except those who've taken certain actions, all people who have visited multiple different pages of the site, or users who visited certain pages but not other pages. If you have an app and you paid attention during the website visitors portion, it should be relatively easy for you to follow and translate the different options that you can use for Google app remarketing audiences. I'm sorry I don't have a better example, but this at least gets you started down that path. The third type of remarketing audience we can create for Google Ads is actually going to be all of the YouTube user lists that are available. You can see here that the builder is slightly different. We've got the list members. You need to make sure that you have your YouTube channel selected, so we have Paid Media Pros here. And then at the bottom we have the same pre-fill options and member duration that we had for website visitors. Those are going to work in exactly the same way, so I'm not going to go in depth there. At a very high level, the biggest customizations we're going to make are going to be based in this list members section here. So the preset is going to be viewed any video from a channel, but there's lots of different options we have available for YouTube remarketing audiences. That first one is going to be viewed any video, but there's a number of other ones based on specific views. It can be that somebody viewed a certain video or group of videos, anyone who viewed any video as an ad, or viewed certain videos as ads. So there's lots of different ways you can customize which videos were viewed on your channel. You can also create audiences based on how people engage with your channel as a whole, whether they've subscribed to it or they've visited your channel page. And then there are some engagement audiences we can create as well. Anybody who liked any video from your channel, added a video from your channel to a playlist, or shared any video from your channel. As you can tell, I'm taking a very high level pass at all of these different audience types because Joe actually already put together a video that goes way more in depth than what I'm going to do today about all of the YouTube remarketing targeting options, and you can check that out in the top of your screen right now if you want to learn more about that. For now, I'm going to hop out of here and let's go to the next type of remarketing audience we can create. Moving down the list under the YouTube users, customer list is going to be the next option. And this is again where we're going to be a little bit hampered by what we can do in this account specifically. And I'm guessing that a number of you will also see this error, so I want to run through it. If I click customer list, you'll see here that your account is not currently eligible for customer match, and then you can learn more about Google's policies. So let's go ahead and do that real quick. Over the past couple of years, Google has tightened who can utilize customer match in their account, and you need to make sure that you meet the requirements that are listed here. You need to have a good history of policy compliance. You're not constantly breaking the rules and getting into disapproval trouble. You've been paying your bills, so you have a good payment history. You need to have been on Google Ads running ads for at least 90 days. So that means that it's going to take at least 3 months before you're able to use Customer Match with a brand new account. And you have to have spent more than $50,000 in US spend in the lifetime of the account. So it's not necessarily once you hit day 91 that you're eligible. You have to have spent more than $50,000. As you can tell, if you don't meet the criteria that's here, Google will not let you upload a customer list. But for those of us that can, let's go ahead and hop into an account and we'll talk through what we can use here. In an account that's eligible for Customer Match, rather than getting the alert that we got in the previous placeholder account, you're going to get a screen that looks like this. We have the ability to add an audience name up at the top, and then the biggest section is going to be around the data that you upload. So if you're not familiar, a customer list or customer match list is going to be an uploaded list of user information that you have gathered in one way, shape, or form. It needs to be compliant with all of Google's customer match policies. You'll see that there's a checkbox down here for that. If you want to learn more, you can follow this blue link. It basically says that you can't have stolen user information and trying to target them utilizing customer match. Don't do that because Google will get really mad at you. But once you upload that user information, Google will go out and match it as well as it can to all of the different users on the Google network, put those users in an audience, and allow you to target or exclude them in your campaigns based on how you want it used. The first option that we have here is we need to select the type of customer data we want to upload, and there are 3 different options. The first is probably the most common, it's what I'm going to talk through today, is uploading email, phone number, mailing address, personal information effectively. But if you also have either user IDs or mobile device IDs, you can also upload those into Google Ads as well and target them in the same way that you would utilizing the list that we're going to talk through today. For now, I'll just leave this as the top option. You can then see the 6 different pieces of information that Google allows you to upload. And if you need to utilize a template, you can click the blue link here and it'll download for you. But if you hover over each of these, you'll see that there is a little bit of a guide to tell you what the template needs to be. So you can upload an email. It needs to look like this. Phone number has a number of different formats. First name and last name are pretty self-explanatory, but the country gets a little bit more specific. You need to make sure that you are utilizing the 2-letter country codes that Google supports, otherwise it will not match. You can look those up if you need to, but make sure you're utilizing only that 2-letter country code. And then zip codes need to also follow the international formats. There are a number of different options you can utilize here. Once you've put your data in a file and you're ready to upload it as a CSV, you then need to choose if you're going to upload the plain text data, meaning that you can read it, it's not hashed. More than likely, most of you are going to be utilizing this option, so then you can just choose your file and upload. But if you do have the ability to hash your own data, you need to make sure that you're only doing that for email, phone, first name, and last name. Google says here that country and zip needs to not be hashed so it can read it a little bit easier. Once you've chosen your file and uploaded it, and check the box that says that you have collected this data in compliance with Google's customer match policies, you then can come down here and still select your membership duration and give it a little bit of a description if you want to as well. One thing I will say about customer match is I think sometimes people get really stuck on the language that is the naming convention here, which is customer. Uploading customer lists doesn't mean that these have to be people who have explicitly purchased your service, products, anything like that. These can be users who have been generated through a top of funnel call to action. Maybe you put out an industry report and a lot of businesses downloaded it and they gave you their name and email address to get that industry report. You can then upload those users here, even though they're not technically customers, and utilize them for retargeting audiences in Google Ads. So just don't get stuck on the idea of customers, quote unquote, because you can target just about anybody that you want to, as long as you have their user information and you've gathered it in compliance with Google's customer match policies. The last retargeting audience we can create in Google Ads is going to be a custom combination, which is a little bit different because, as you can see here, it is a list created from multiple existing remarketing lists. So rather than creating new lists based on website visitors, YouTube users, anything like that, we're going to be combining those for a shared audience instead. So let's open this up. And here we'll see there are a few options already selected in here, and those are going to be all of the options that are eligible to utilize for custom combination lists. If an audience is not showing up here, that means that it is not eligible to be used. But effectively what we would do is try and combine lots of different audiences together. Let's say we wanted to create a list of all of the known customers that we have. We might create a website audience that has anybody who hit a thank you page. We might then also create an app user list of anybody anybody who's upgraded to a paid membership, and we might create a customer match upload audience of anybody who in our CRM is designated as a customer. We can then utilize custom combination audiences to combine all of those to create one master customer list to say that we can either target or exclude them in our Google Ads campaigns. Similar to the YouTube remarketing audience section, as you can tell, I'm being a little bit vague and kind of high level about this because, again, Joe has already put together a much more in-depth video about how to create custom combination remarketing lists in Google Ads, and you can check that video out in the upper right portion of your screen. As you can tell, there are tons of different ways to re-engage with users from your website, app, YouTube channel, your CRM data, or combining any different sets of those options into its own list. They can then be utilized for different networks, whether it's search, display, YouTube. Different audiences have different eligibilities, so you'll need to check that whenever you create a new audience. The audience manager will tell you the audience size and whether they're eligible for each platform, so keep that in mind. But hopefully this video has given you a lot better understanding of how you can retarget users, make you feel a lot more comfortable getting started on creating your new audiences. Thanks for watching our video. If you thought it was useful, give us a thumbs up below.
We release a new video at least once a week, so if you want to get notified of when a new one comes out, be sure to subscribe to the Paid Media Pros channel.